right, you guys, today we're going to talk about types of soul bonds, karmics and soulmates specifically. I've done a lot of videos on these topics. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube. But today I want to do a bit of a deep dive, a bit of a one-on-one. So watching this video, you can actually understand what is the objective of both of those relationships and why certain people attract more karmic relationships and certain people attract soulmates. So we're going to walk through the karmic part, and then we're going to walk through the soulmate part, and then I'm going to give you a couple of disclaimers sort of based on most common questions that I receive around these two types of relationships. So we're going to start from karmic relationships, right? So in case you don't know, just the bottom line is I have a whole video that talks about what it actually is, but karmic relationship is basically a bond of two souls. So we have a karmic contract that we're going to go through certain experience together with the soul, but we in the spirit realm are sort of not soul friends, right? So we don't vibrate on the same frequency. This is not a soul that I have a specific bond in the spirit realm, but we agreed to walk chapters of our lives in this lifetime to learn lessons, because this is the key objective of karmic relationships. We enter karmic relationships obviously subconsciously. Consciously you enter them because you think that you are in love, you feel love, love is love, you are in love with this person and you are drawn to them, you're magnetized to them. But sometimes it's not necessarily love, it can be like more shallow connection, but you're drawn to them, right? You feel that romantic pull towards them. But in reality, from a perspective of a soul, we enter those relationships to learn. The key objective that I want you to stay with and remember, when we talk about karmic relationships, they are meant to be a reflection of parts of ourselves, of our psyche, that we are not seeing, not acknowledging, refusing to see. Right? So bottom line, we're going to talk about this more as we move to more of a soulmates, but bottom line, as long as there are parts of yourself that you are not acknowledging, which means that there are shadows within you that you haven't brought to the conscious mind, loved, integrated, and healed, there are still wounds, traumas, karmic patterns, shadows, again, that you don't acknowledge, you don't accept, you don't admit, you don't see, you don't notice, you will attract karmic relationships in your life. You won't be capable of attracting true, deep soul love. Now, before we talk about karmic relationships, I want to divide them into two categories and two groups, because I feel like it's important to really remove an illusion, because oftentimes when people hear karmic relationship, they immediately go to something negative. And I want you to completely erase that and remove that. These are beautiful relationships. If you actually open yourself to learn, and no matter what kind of relationship that will be, it is a catalyst to growth if you accept that challenge, if you learn that lesson, right? But I want you to remove the sort of a negative label from karmic relationships. And I want you to see them in two categories. First category, yes, it is true that we're going to be talking about karmic relationships that are abusive, that are abruptive, that are full of turmoil. Sometimes even they may, with time, and when I say with time, I mean with timelines, lifetimes, they may turn into karmic trauma bond, and I will explain this in a moment. And those relationships we attract them based on our frequency, right? So this is a base law of attraction that we talk about all the time on this channel, and I want you to remember about this. We attract what we are the vibration of. There's just no other way, because how we feel about ourselves, about life, the emotions that we produce. They create energetic field. They influence our energy body and our aura. That is our magnetic field that attracts experiences in the external world. So if your frequency is based on fear, lack of self-love, lack of worthiness, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of shadow, there's a lot of sort of a shallow level approach to life. There's a lot of disconnect from self, from love. You sort of live believing that you're just this human life. You're insignificant. You're going to live and then you're going to die and you're going to disappear. There's zero connection with the soul, with God, with universe, with the meaning of life, right? If you are on that level, which is very low vibrational level, all you're going to attract will be karmic relationships, and those on the abusive side. So it may necessarily be, very drastic. It may be as well, but it's always going to be toxic. It's always going to be someone that will treat you poorly. It's always going to be someone that will, through that behavior, right? Remember, it's not about the fact that they're evil, right? It's about the fact that they were meant to be put on your path for you to see, for you to stop and think to yourself, why the hell am I allowing someone to disrespect me, to mistreat me, to not, just be loving and caring towards me? Why am I accepting cheating? Why am I accepting yelling? Why am I accepting, again, disrespect, whatever that is, whatever toxicity and abusiveness exists in that relationship? It exists for you to finally see. Remember to that first statement that I've given you. Karmic relationships are a reflection of what we are refusing to see within ourselves. So if you are not consciously acknowledging on your own, being single, that damn, I need to love myself more, I need to raise the bar, you will be attracting partners that will be reflecting that within you brutally, right? So that's one side of karmic relationship. But then there's another side, which is actually a nice karmic. So it's not someone who is our soul connection. It's not someone who we have a deep soul bond, that we really vibrate on a same or similar frequency. It's still a karmic, but it's no longer this low vibrational karmic. Why? Because we've done enough growth to stop accepting BS, to stop accepting abuse, mistreatment, cheating, toxicity, and all that low vibrational nonsense. We grew to a point, and for some people it's going to be in one lifetime. For some, we have to look at growth from lifetime to lifetime, right? But as a soul, you are ready to conquer this life on a level of consciousness that allows you to understand that as a human being, I deserve more. I deserve to be loved, to be cherished. So when you start to want more, when you expand your consciousness, you will start to attract, again, going back to law of attraction, you will start to attract still karmic relationships, and they will still reflect things to you, and they will still bring you lessons, but those won't be lessons related to this very low vibrational woundings that you carry within, but they're going to be more sophisticated. It's like another level, right? So it's not going to be someone that's going to be yelling at you or cheating on you. It may be a very good partner, very faithful partner, very, respectful partner, good human being. But they will be reflecting more deeper issues within you because now you're ready for that, right? So they're going to be reflecting, for example, that you're accepting a relationship that doesn't really have deep intimacy or doesn't really have deep vulnerability, that you're not really resonant. There's still something lacking within you. There's still something that you're not seeing. There's still something that you're not acknowledging. So they still will reflect that. They will still bring a lesson, but it's no longer going to be abruptive. And I feel, as I work with people, that this is this stage, this is this level of soul growth, of consciousness expansion, where people struggle most. Because if you think about this, sometimes it's easier to notice, oh my God, why am I with somebody that is yelling at me, that is like sometimes even physically abusive, someone who is talking down on me, someone who's cheating on me, someone who's like, why? Oh my God, the level of lack of self-love, I have to get out of this, right? But then when you're ready to move to those more positive karmics, you start to, the lesson is more subtle. The lesson is more deep, right? Because those are those stages, those lifetimes when you are preparing yourself to fully release karma, to reach that awareness of self enough that you're not going to have to receive those lessons externally, right? So you've done a lot of growth as a soul, but you're not yet fully so deeply connected to self that you don't need no relationship outside of yourself to show you where are you still lacking, are you still leaking that energy, right? So those are going to be difficult to overcome, because oftentimes these are lessons about codependency. These are lessons about loneliness, about lack of self-love, about lack of deep worthiness, right? And because that relationship seems like it's a-okay, it's a good person, they respect me, they spend time with me, overall, they support me. But there's no depths. There's no true deep soul connection. We're in them, bottom line, not to be alone, right? To have some sort of a companionship. So they're going to be more subtle lessons, more deeper lessons, and more difficult to overcome. Now, these are the karmic bonds. When your soul reaches a lifetime, a moment on a journey of soul, that you are ready, remember what we said about karmics, reflection of what you are refusing to see or you're not seeing within yourself. When you went deep enough within yourself, you found that way back home to self, to love, to your soul. You connected to your soul. You develop deep mind, body, soul connection for journey of whether that's inner work, spirituality, awaken, just labels, however you want to call it. People get there in different ways. There's no one right way to get there. But you understand meaning of life. You understand who you are. You love yourself. You understand that you are unconditionally worthy. And you are very much on point with the side of light and with the side of shadow. You understand that there's nothing wrong that I have some shadows. There's nothing wrong that I went through some traumas, because I'm in touch with them. I'm in touch with those shadows. I've healed them. I've integrated them. I've given them love. They're part of me. And I love me with all the light and all the shadows. And everything that happens, you continue to grow. You continue to expand. You do not need someone to show you through lesson of relationship. What are you not seeing within you? Because you are well aware. I am well aware, for example, I am well aware that I have a wound of avoidance, but I am aware of it. I'm on point. I feel when it comes to the surface, and I have it at bay. I am well aware that I had abandonment issues, but I've healed those issues. And their shadows will always be within us. But when we are healed, again, just label, it's just that we are in touch with them. We're in touch with our darkness. We understand it. When it comes to the surface, we have the capacity to take a step back and chill, my human. Come down. It's okay. You are safe. You're not going to be abandoned, because you will not abandon yourself, right? This is actually the point of shadow work and inner work. And when you get to that point, you no longer need anyone to show you your shadows, because you are best friends with your shadows, right? You know all your shadows, you know all your darkness. You've embarked on the journey to face your darkness. And this is where you start to be ready to connect to someone that you are not seeking because you don't want to be alone, that you are not seeking because you cannot recognize certain things within yourself. You just are ready for companionship of souls. And this is where soulmates come into the picture, because soulmates still will reflect your wounds, your depths, your parts of you, but it will be a much deeper reflection. And this is what I always say to you guys, the difference between karmic and soulmates. With karmics, we learn through them. With soulmates, we learn with them, because we have developed enough self-awareness and we have removed the denial, the lack of accountability. We accept ourselves for who we are and we love ourselves unconditionally, that we are now able to grow with somebody, not through somebody, not through harsh lessons delivered through someone, but together with somebody. Because whatever will come forth, we won't deny it. We will take accountability, right? We won't be, no, but you, but this, but people. We'll be, yeah, okay, yeah, I know. I have this shadow. I know, sorry, I snapped on you. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this, right? And we've mentioned this. I've talked about this in my recent series that I've done about how to know that you are in a karmic relationship. That you, with soulmate, you actually grow together. Challenges bring you closer. Discussions bring you closer. It's exactly for that reason. Because you already have enough of knowledge of yourself, awareness of oneself, of meaning of life, of your shadows, of your inner world, of your emotions, of how to self-regulate, how to self-soothe, that you can have a mature companionship. And this is where, again, looping back to law of attraction, you've risen your vibration enough because now your soul holds the reins. When your soul holds the reins, you cannot attract a karmic partner. Karmic partner is attracted until the moment your ego holds the rein. The mortal, temporary human self, human part of self holds the rein. The moment you connect to your soul and you release and surrender to your soul, and sort of the awareness becomes the observer of how you live through this life as a human, as a blend of a spirit and an ego, but soul holds the reins. You are ready for that soulmate companionship. And with the soulmate, I also want to divide into two categories, just like we did with karmic. So the first category is when you are ready for a soulmate. When you are ready for a soulmate, all of the things that we already mentioned, you are magnetizing your soulmate. And this is a relationship when you will grow together because you are ready not to numb the void, numb the pain. This is what we always do with karmics. We find them because we're lonely, because we want a family, because we want a partner, because we don't want to go on ourselves, because we have fear of loneliness, right? And all these things that we've went through in my previous videos. Soulmate comes when you are seeking connection, when you're seeking true recognition of soul, true partnership, two alone wolves. I teach you guys this all the time. When you're ready for depths and for vulnerability, when you are so in touch with yourself, with the depths of yourself, all your emotions, all your traumas, all your, right? And you are ready to share that with another in a very, very deep level. And this is where soulmate comes in, and beautiful relationships. But with those relationships, we can go one more level. And these are the two categories, right? So with karmics, we have abusive karmics and nice karmics. Then with soulmates, we have soulmate. And then that extra level is what we call divine union. This is where you're not only so aware of yourself that you are ready to meet that true, vulnerable, deep partner, but you are actually in your frequency of your divinity. Because in order to have a true divine union, that is something that can happen between two soulmates, higher soulmates, or twin souls, you have to be in your divinity. So what does it really mean? The divine feminine, divine masculine. It means that you are completely sovereign. You have done so much work, so much self-discovery, that you become completely sovereign. You have freed your spirit. You've become that alone wolf. This is that moment when, yeah, desire of a soul, it would be great to be with somebody, but I am thriving on my own. I am in my divinity. I have healed my inner masculine. I have healed my inner feminine. I have taught these energies to interact with each other in a healthy manner, in a divine manner, creating inner union within myself. I am a sovereign, worthy expression of God through this physical body. I am in control of my shadows. I am in my full I am in my fullness, I am in my wholeness, and I would not accept less that someone who holds divinity as well, who is embodiment of divinity as well. And this is where you are ready not only to attract your soulmate, but to create divine union. So relationship as God wanted it to look like. Divine feminine, divine masculine, embodiment of what femininity is with embodiment of what masculinity is, accepting our roles as masculines and feminine in this physical world, and creating sacred union, what we call divine union. So you're going to have many people who are in soulmate relationships and have beautiful relationships and amazing soulmate relationships, fulfilling relationships, but they're not yet quite there. Because to reach your divinity, we're talking about really your final lifetimes. We're talking really about awareness, about awakening, about finding that way back to self. It comes with a lot of inner work, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of reprogramming of your mind, of limiting beliefs, right? So, of course, there are many people who are there. We live in beautiful times of great awakening. Many people are awakening, are doing self-work, are doing inner work, and it is something I always say to you guys: when you are single, you can start to do this work and then you can attract your divine counterpart. But if you yourself right now are finding yourself, you're watching this video and finding yourself in soulmate relationship, and beautiful soulmate relationship, but you feel that you and your partner, you're not quite there yet, you can embark on this beautiful journey together. You can start to grow, to expand, elevate your relationship and reach that divine union. As long as you have your soulmate, true soul connection with you, you can always reach that divine union. So basically, when we talk about the journey of souls, we go from abruptive karmic relationships, then we grow, we are ready to have those nice karmic relationships, then we grow some more, we're ready to have beautiful soulmates, and when we reach those final, literally Christ consciousness, because divines, we walk Christ consciousness, we're ready to form divine union with our partner. Now, I want to give you guys a couple of disclaimers because they're going to be important to understand. And like I said, those are based on most common questions that I receive. So first thing that I want you to remember in understanding all those dynamics is that we always follow law of attraction. We cannot attract what we are not the vibration of. Again, I say this to you guys as a mantra. We don't attract what we say. We don't attract what we dream. We don't attract what we pray for. We don't attract what we journal about or what we put on post-its on our mirror. We attract what we are the vibration of. So if you are vibrating on a frequency of fear, if you're vibrating on frequency of lack of self-love, that is all that you will attract. And here many people asks me, that is so not true, because I am a good person and I would never cheat on anyone. I would never, be abusive towards anyone. Yet I attracted this partner who is a complete narcissist. So it's rubbish what you're saying. He's nothing like me. He's so below. But you are really, if you say this, you're really not understanding what law of attraction really means. The more denial we create within ourselves, the more we are refusing to accept a wound, the more abruptive and brutal the karmic contract, the karmic partner has to be, so we can finally see. And I often say this to you guys, that when we talk about low vibration, that we attract the vibration of what we are, it doesn't mean that we attract same, but it may be polarity, but it's the same level of vibration. So if you think that I am a good person, so why I attracted this cheater, this narcissist, because your level of self-love and self-worthiness is a match to his level of BS, to his level of abusiveness. So you can finally wake up and understand it wasn't luck. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't universe playing, tricks on you and mean lessons on you. People oftentimes, blame this on karma, and partially it's true, but all you need to understand that their level of abusiveness matches your level of trauma inside of you that you are not seeing. Maybe you carry a deep father wound. Maybe you carry the deep worthiness wound. Many times I see cases where people are deeply disconnected from self, and they are using wrong reasons to be with someone. So they are sticking to this model of a partner. It has to be successful. They have to be educated. They have to be this and that, right? And they completely disregard the emotional side. They sort of are seeking for products. So then they hit with that narcissist to finally wake up. Start valuing yourself. Start loving yourself. Start healing your traumas. Because there's no way that someone who is in their divinity, no matter circumstances, would ever accept that BS. Even if you have children with this person, even if there's no other man on the face of the planet or woman on the face of, the more you grow, the more divine you are, you would never accept that behavior, right? And this is also as well why the karmic relationships are often tricky, because, they start so great, and then once they grab us, because it's testing our strength. Are you codependent? Are you going to stay because we are already together? Are you going to stay because you think that you love me? But who you love more, yourself or me? It's always exactly what you need to understand something within you. There is no, coincidences in the universe. What was brought to you is always a spot-on lesson for you to grow and overcome something that still exists within you. Now, next thing that I want to explain to you, and it's sometimes people ask about it, and it goes back to that first thing that I said to you about karmics. Abusive karmics sometimes can turn into trauma bond. Overall, karmic relationships come to our life to help us to clear that karma, right? So we can release karmic patterns, so we can grow, so we can escalate, so we can expand. But sometimes there's this thing that we call karmic loops, that we loop ourselves in it. And if you've watched maybe my previous videos about karmic relationships, and like I said, I have a whole playlist. There's one video that explains that karmic contracts can exist on two levels. Every karmic contract has a level of lesson. So there's a lesson in every karmic relationship. Romantic or friendship, familyship, there's a lesson always. But some contract, not all, but some, have additional level of that specific person, that specific soul, because we already have history, lifetime for lifetime. This is why oftentimes people get confused, because there's this karmic catalyst or karmic relationship that you feel like, oh, I've known you from past lifetimes. Yeah, you did, because we have a trauma bond, because we've hurt each other we've been hurting each other from 200 lifetimes, but people think that this means that this is a soulmate, right? So we have those loops, and sometimes when you are faced with a karmic relationship and your objective in this relationship as a soul, when you were signing that contract, was, okay, I'm going to learn to love myself a little bit more and not accept abuse. But you are failing that lesson, and instead of exiting that relationship, you're looping yourself with this person, and you wanting so you sort of come from a place of low vibration and shadow feelings, and then you want vengeance, then you want this and you want that, you want to payback, right? And instead of actually understanding, releasing, growing, overcoming, ascending, forgiving, you are looping yourself in that cycle, in that karmic spiral. And instead of releasing karma with this person, you're only building more, which means that you're going to have to meet in another lifetime. This is why sometimes we do it so much. And we can as well loop ourselves on a pattern. So you exited the relationship, you broke up with this person, but then you didn't really learn the lesson. So you're going to repeat the same thing with another scenario with another person. And again, it's not going to, I oftentimes mention this to you guys, it's not going to look same, because you wouldn't accept the same person. but the core thing that you were meant to learn. So for example, how you choose your relationships, how you choose your partners, or the lack of full self-love and acknowledgement for your worthiness and the love for your body. And you will continue to repeat that loop, right? So remember that they're meant to clear karma. But if we're not learning lessons, if we're not actually releasing, again, with love, with forgiveness, if we're not ascending, we're not using these relationships to grow, we're looping ourselves. And then we have to repeat this for like variety of lifetimes, years or lifetimes. And the final thing that I want to mention, because sometimes people say this to me, how come some people are in soulmate relationships but they haven't done any growth? They're just like normal people. They met their soulmate when they were 16 and now they live in this amazing relationship with their soulmate, and they didn't do any shadow work, any growth. Like, it's kind of outside of a line, right? So there's this line of growth: abusive, karmic, soulmate, divine love, right? And they get it outside of line. Like, sometimes I hear people say to me, I cannot magnetize my soulmate, I'm single, but this is like my friend or my cousin, and like she has no idea about inner work, growth, and this and that, and she's there living, with that soulmate. So two things that I want to mention here, and I want you to remember. Number one is the fact that they have, to what seems to be, to an outside observer, a great relationship and that lasted lifetime. It really doesn't mean that they're soulmates, right? So remember that they may be just those nice karmics, right? People can say, I hear people say nonsense all the time. Like, you clearly see that this is a karmic relationship, and people say, this is my soulmate, or this is my twin flame, right? Because they don't have understanding of these things, and that's okay. You love someone deeply, they're good for you, you've spent your whole life with them, you have this attachment to them. So naturally, because of lack of understanding and labels that we have in this world, you can say that they're your soulmate, but it may be just that nice karmic. Again, those nice karmics that I've mentioned, they can be really great relationships. They can be relationships that last all life. They can be relationships that you don't fight, you like doing things together. Again, if you've watched my previous series, you would understand it's not about, it's about depth. It's about depth. You can have great intimacy with karmic, you can have great time with karmic, you can share, hobbies with and vision of life with a karmic, but you will never reach those depths, and it's about the depth. So the fact that they think that they're in a soulmate relationship, or even you observe them and you think it's a soulmate, it may not be. That's the first thing that I want you to understand. And the second thing that I want to mention is that in some cases, it actually may be the case. So you're going to have those people that you think to yourself, how come they're in a soulmate relationship? They met when they were 16, so we cannot be talking about any shadow work, any divinity or anything like that, right? Or right now, they're very unconscious, they're very dormant, they're very not awakened, or however you want to call it. They're not doing any kind of a self-work and healing, right? So why the hell? What the hell? But you have to remember that there may be a variety of reasons for that. So sometimes simply, not every lifetime, for most part, yes, because we learn through relationships, but not every life, every person's life is about love and it's about relationship. Sometimes as a soul, we incarnate and we come here and we say to ourselves, I'm going to have to learn lessons about, with my child. Right? So I'm gonna, for example, like sometimes there's very drastic cases, I'm gonna lose that child, right? Or for example, I have to learn lessons about, my growth, my development, maybe my career, maybe some relationships with family, right? You have different lessons, different challenges. And then you say to your soulmate, you know what, I don't want to do it on my own. So come there with me for this lifetime. We're going to meet when we're going to be young. And both of us, we're going to be learning and overcoming traumas. They're going to come from our children, or they're going to come from our family, right? Different kind of challenge. Are we going to do something for this world, right? So that part that is relationship, that is love, is not going to be the center focus. We will just have it. So that might be one reason. Another reason may be that you have, for example, a very a very brutal karmic relationship that you have to clear karma with, very abusive, very abruptive, right? That you have to go through to learn something about yourself, or even clear karma with this person. And then you say to your soulmate again before incarnate, you know what, once I'm done, maybe you're going to have your lessons too. Can we just please meet afterwards so we can then continue to heal together? Some people really don't have, healing from something very difficult in life, healing on your own, with no support, with nobody, embarking on this journey, it requires hell of a strength. This is for the strongest soldiers of God. This is for those that are ready for divine love, right? Most people don't have this strength. So many people go through these abusive, experiences that they have to go through, and then they meet their soulmate so they can continue to heal together, believing in love. That I've made this right choice. Now we're together. Now we have fun together. Now you love me. You respect me. And together we can heal our past trauma from our past relationships, right? And sometimes some souls went through so many experiences. They've lived lives that they served something. They've lived life that they've learned something, that they're on this rest lives, right? Let's just go there. We're going to do something for others. We're going to maybe, I don't know, they create communities, they adopt children, they do beautiful things for this world. And maybe I don't want, a relationship to be my main concern. I want to meet you when I'm, 16 and 17, and we're going to be together forever, and we're going to create good in this world. Every journey is individual. This is why I always teach you guys never to compare. Never look towards why she has this and he has this and I don't. Look at yourself. In your basket, you have all that you need for this life. These are your lessons. Maybe you've already been on this lifetime, all your life with a soulmate, and now you don't want to do it because you think it's boring. No challenge. I want more, right? It's a growth of a soul. We don't have to understand it, but we cannot compare. We cannot look at others and compare our lives. All right. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helped you to understand what kind of relationship you currently find yourself in, or what kind of relationship you want to aspire for. If you're still here, as always, please follow, like, and support. And I will see you soon.